views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not, and where you can get all the latest news that you need to know to be a great informed chatter here on Paltalk. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Before we list all the topics we're going to discuss today, is Bahani back with us today? Bahani, I want to call on you to talk about what you hear coming out of Iran, because I have pledged not to let that story die. So put your hand up. I'm going to call on you near the beginning of the show, dear. I have some questions to ask you. The Michael Jackson Memorial Service was carried in its entirety and uninterrupted right here on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com this afternoon. We thank Boaz Frankel for bringing that to us. I want to talk about that. I'm also going to call Boaz to the mic to talk about the pressure on Netanyahu to not build any more settlements, no new construction at any rate, on the West Bank in order to try to push forward a peace proposal. And there's an interesting twist to all that, which I outline on the blog, and I'm going to try to put Boaz on the spot with regard to. Obama met with Putin today, the real power in Russia. And if anybody wants to bring up anything about that, I'd love to have discourse with you on that. And there's some new alleged evidence of detainee abuse at Gitmo. Apparently there are photographs and videos of Binyam Mohammed, who has since been released and sent to the UK. And he wants a federal court here in the United States to preserve that evidence to prove that he was abused while in U.S. custody at Gitmo. Very disturbing news to me. Gary Reitsky, if you're here in the room, Gary Rice, put your hand up. I want to hear what you have to say about that in particular. Let's start with Michael Jackson. Interesting thing, Anne, from Argentina. No, down under, Australia. Interesting thing, Anne, in Australia. This really struck a chord with a lot of people, including yourself. You grew up on Michael Jackson music, but I got to tell you, and we were happy to bring the memorial service to our listeners and viewers here live on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com. I can't tell you the number of people who sent me PMs objecting to the fact that we were carrying this memorial service because of his proclivity for young boys. And they felt that it was absolutely wrong for us to carry this memorial service, which was way over the top. They recognized what a great artist he was, but they also recognized that he had certain personal deficits, and they feel that he should not have been honored in death the way he was honored today at this memorial. What are your thoughts about that, Ann?
A curly one, Gary. I believe that a man is innocent until he's proven guilty. I don't believe that that they proved adequately enough for a jury to convict him. The prosecutor at the time said he had the evidence. He went out for him hell for leather. If he was ever going to be convicted, he would have been convicted at that time. And I think at this stage in our lives, I remember Michael Jackson the Kid. I remember Michael Jackson at 11 singing I'll Be There. ABC. I remember watching the Jackson 5s on television. I remember being aware of the racial issues in America, but as an Australian, and we had our own racial issues. I mean, we still have our own racial issues. But I was never aware, and it never occurred to me that the guy that was fronting the Jackson 5 came out of Georgia. As a kid, it didn't relate to the fact that this guy had just as much potential of being in the middle of a racist attack in the middle of Birmingham or Georgia or anywhere else in the southern states of America at the time he was coming through. And I think the memorial service was a fitting thing, Gary.
How do you reconcile the fact that he acknowledged, Dan, he acknowledged that he had kids in his bed, but he said it wasn't like that? Is it possible for an adult male to share a bed with children and it not be sexual in nature? Maybe in the case of Michael Jackson, it was possible. Maybe he was asexual. I don't know.
Whoopi Goldberg, I happened to see her yesterday on on The View. Now, I reckon Whoopi Goldberg's is about as streetwise as you get, Gary. Absolutely. I've slept with my kids. I don't think I molested one of them. In fact, I can guarantee I didn't molest any of them. You know, it's not... Michael Jackson, I think, was childlike. I think that he decided at about 14 he wasn't going to grow up. And I don't know. Do we assume everything that an adult does with a child is a bad, I don't know, Gary. All I can say is, if they were going to convict him, they should have convicted him.
Well, I would find it inappropriate for an adult male to be sharing a bed with children not of his own children. Frankly, I would find that inappropriate. He may not have done anything that is technically illegal. That's true, but I think the whole issue of how much we put these pop stars, and there's no questioning the profound impact Michael Jackson had on music, but that we put them up on this huge pedestal the way we do. I would like to see if you don't see somebody who's a great peacemaker generally honored the way we honor somebody like Michael Jackson, or somebody who developed a vaccine to prevent death honored the way we honor Michael Jackson. Why is it, in your opinion, Ann, that pop culture figures are elevated to such status?
Because they're 24/7 on the radio, they're 24/7 on the television. The minute they move out of half a mile out of their norm, they've got a paparazzi on their doorstep. People believe that they know them, Gary.
Yeah.
We don't.
That's kind of interesting that you would say that, because